Hey guys, it's Danta. So, I know that I said that I didn't feel like making any videos about World of Warcraft last time, but there are just days that you are sitting in your chair and you are thinking like, I just want to play the game, right? Even though it's not in a great state. Well, that day was today for me, so here's another World of Warcraft video for you guys. So whenever I logged into the game, I saw that the Mage Tower was up permanently from now on, which is a great thing in my opinion, because it's basically one of the best things that ever happened in this game. Now it also reminded me that I still had footage of this Mage Tower whenever it came back in Shadowlands. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you guys how to complete the Agatha fight without smashing your head on your desk. Now, I already completed all the Mage Towers back in Legion, so I kinda know how these fights work, but they just feel so different for some reason. Probably because you can't use your artifact weapons and your legendaries, while you could do that back in Legion. I'm just going to try to help you guys out. I'm going to give you a couple of tips, just explain the fight, and I just hope that this video will make it at least a little bit easier for you guys. Alright guys, so let's talk about the gear itself. So the gear that I'm using is nothing special, it's pretty much garbage, right? I'm using my helmet that I got from my Covenant. Besides that, just some random epics that I got in Shadowlands. Now, as you can see, I'm also wearing 3 legendaries. Now, don't worry, these 3 legendaries aren't mandatory to have, because you can basically just replace them for anything you want. They just give a little bit more stats. That's actually it. Now, besides that, I'm wearing Gatiku in my offhand. I have the Castle Nefria weapon in my main hand. I'm not sure how much of a difference it would make if you are going to play with another weapon instead of Gatiku. Basically, just pick whatever weapon you got. And I see a lot of people also using their artifact weapon, but just beware that the artifact weapon effects themselves don't work. So just pick whatever you want, right? What else do I have? I have one trinket which is pretty good for stats. It's the Arcano Crystal. I still had that one in the bank. It used to be a ridiculous trinket with such insane stats. Now the other trinket does some AoE damage. It doesn't really matter what you are going to take. As I said before, gear doesn't matter in this fight. It will make it a little bit easier, that's for sure, but they kinda hotfixed everything that was broken, like these enchants and stuff, but just go for whatever you want. So that's basically it for my gear. Now let's talk about my talents. So as for the talents, I'm using Fresh Meat because it will allow me to enrage all the time whenever I'm hitting a new target. Now, in this fight you will be hitting a lot of new targets, so it's a really nice talent to have. Now for my second talent, I picked Impending Victory because it will allow me to heal whenever I want. The way this works is that whenever you kill an imp, your Impending Victory will basically reset, so you can just time your heals whenever you want. It's really good, and I know that a lot of people pick double time because you have more movement then, but I would go with Impending Victory, especially if you find it hard to stay alive. The next talent that I took was Massacre, basically because it will allow you to kill these imps way faster because you can use your execute on 35%. The next talent is Warpaint. It will give you basically more defense whenever you are enraged. The other talent works really well with Fresh Meat because Cruelty will increase your damage whenever you are enraged. So your Raging Blow will deal 20% more damage, plus it has a 30% chance to instantly just reset. And if you combine that with Fresh Meat in this fight, you will almost have Raging Blows up all the time. Now if Legion Legendary still worked, and I would have had the one that increased your damage with your Whirlwind or something like that, I would immediately go with Meat Cleaver, but you know, legendaries don't work, so we will go with bladestorm. Now the last talent that I took was Anger Management, because it will allow you to get all your cooldowns back way faster. So with having talked about my gear and talents, let's just finally start talking about the fight itself, because that's the most important thing in this entire video. Okay guys, so let's finally talk about how we are going to kill this boss, right? So there are a couple of things you gotta do before you are going to engage her, and that's just buff up. So get your food, get your flasks, get your stones for your weapons, and get your drums. I'm not using any special enchant. I think I bought something with Mark of the Satyr or something like that, but besides that I'm not using anything special. Now, the first thing that I did was I charged to her. I used Bloodthirst to increase the damage of my bladestorm, and I just immediately bladestormed. Now, the best thing about bladestorm and anger management is that whenever you are using abilities, it will reduce the cooldown on bladestorm itself. So every time she's going to summon a lot of imps around her, you will have your bladestorm up. Now, whenever I killed these imps, she spawned 2 imps in the back of the room. What you want to do is just leap over towards them, slow them, and try to zerg them down. Whenever they reach the boss, they are going to heal her, and we don't want that. So the only option you have then is either interrupt them or just try to zerg them as fast as you can, but just don't keep them alive for way too long. Now, while I was leaping over towards these imps in the back, Agatha also spawned some fuming imp, which is basically a small imp which will explode, and whenever he explodes, he will leave a puddle on the ground which will slow you. Now, eventually she will summon a lot of imp servants, and she will have this purple glowy shield around her. Now, if you want to get rid of that purple shield, you have to kill the umbral imps. If you don't kill the umbral imps, then her shield won't go away. So you gotta make sure that you kill those imps for sure. So what I do always, whenever she summons all these imps and she gets that purple shield around her, I immediately just bladestorm. Now, whenever these imps are going to spawn, what you can do to make it yourself a little bit easier is just use Spell Reflect, because Spell Reflect will just immediately negate all the damage that they do with their firebolts. Now, there's also another thing that she does, and that's called Dark Fury. She will get this pink shield around her, and you gotta zerg that shield away from her and immediately interrupt her, because she keeps channeling dark energy into you, and you will eventually just die of that. So make sure you interrupt her after destroying her pink shield. So it's just all rinse and repeat for the first phase. It's pretty simple, but you first gotta try it out a couple of times. Eventually, whenever she's going to spawn these imps, it will become a lot easier. Another good thing to know is that if you have impending victory, you can just heal yourself up all the time after killing an imp. So healing shouldn't be really a problem unless you are messing up the mechanics. Especially the one with the fuming imp. If you let too many fuming imps just explode, your entire room will be filled with shit, and you don't want that because you will be slowed, it will give you some ticking damage, and you will basically die. Now, whenever she reaches around 50.4% or something like that, she will start teleporting to the back of the room. Now, here's where another mechanic comes in, and that's the meteors. So these meteors are pretty deadly, so just try to avoid them as good as you can. They messed up my fights a lot. They killed me more times than Agatha actually did. So just keep an eye on these meteors and avoid them at all costs. Now, whenever phase 2 starts, the real fight actually begins. Now you not only have to zerg down these imps, but you also gotta be watching out for these meteors. The worst part about phase 2 is that the platform is so small that she will eventually start summoning imps, and these imps will just stand underneath her where the meteors are going to spawn. So you will probably get mad a couple of times because these meteors will just, drop on your head because you're trying to clear these imps. There's not really a way to get rid of these meteors, so just keep in mind where they are going to land. Just look very carefully where they are going. That's actually all I can say about the meteors. So whenever she reaches 38%, she will start teleporting back to where you started, basically the entrance. The fight stays the same. However, this time you have to look back because these meteors are still rolling and you don't see them if you are just going to look at the boss itself. What you want to do is just relax, don't stress out. If you're going to stress out, you will wipe. That's basically it. Also, another thing that you want to do is just save the drums till you think you need it. So let's say you need to kill these imps pretty fast, but you don't have your bladestorm up. Just use your drums and try to kill them as fast as you can. Now that's basically it for this fight. It's pretty straightforward, but there are just a lot of mechanics that can put you back in the ground. So guys, that's how I cleared the mage tower on my warrior whenever it just came out in Shadowlands. I don't know, it just feels weird actually. It feels so different from the Legion mage tower that I did back then. I like doing it because it was kind of a challenge, but I just wish they would just enable our artifact weapons again and our legendaries, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video and I hope that it helps you guys out a little bit at least. If you did like it and if it helped you, don't forget to leave a subscribe, don't forget to like the video, and if you have any questions or suggestions, just leave it in the comment section below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.